You know that feeling when everything hits at once. The deadline is screaming at you. Your phone won't stop buzzing. Someone is waiting on your answer. Your chest gets tight. Your mind goes completely blank, and somehow you're supposed to just handle it all like nothing is happening. That feeling right there, that is not weakness. That is what happens when a human being has been running on empty for too long without anyone ever actually showing them how to manage what is going on inside. And here is the thing most people never figure out. Staying calm under pressure is not a personality trait you were born with. It is a skill. And just like any skill, once you understand the mechanics behind it, your entire life starts to change in ways you never expected. Before we go any further, we have related programs linked down below in the video description. People who have gone through them are reporting real shifts in how they handle stress, how they show up at work, how they sleep at night, and how present they actually feel in their own lives. If that sounds like something you need, do not wait on it. The people who keep putting it off are still in the exact same place 6 months from now. The link is right there. Now let us get into this. Picture a morning that probably feels familiar. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, your brain is already running a full simulation of every problem you have. The thing you forgot to do yesterday, the conversation you are dreading today, the pile of responsibilities that does not seem to shrink no matter how hard you work. By the time you are brushing your teeth, your jaw is already clenched. Your shoulders are already up near your ears. And you have not even started the day yet. That is what chronic pressure does to a person. It does not just show up in the big dramatic moments. It lives in the quiet ones too. It lives in the way you snap at someone you love over something small. It lives in the way you lie awake at 3 in the morning replaying conversations. It lives in the tension headaches that show up every single afternoon without fail. It lives in the exhaustion that sleep does not fix. And the worst part, the part nobody talks about, is that most people normalize it. They start to believe that this is just what life feels like. They think being overwhelmed and anxious is the price of being a functioning adult with real responsibilities. It is not. Here is what science actually tells us. When you feel pressure, your brain triggers what is known as the stress response. Your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes. Blood rushes away from the parts of your brain responsible for clear thinking and rational decision-making, and floods instead into your survival instincts. This is why when you are under serious pressure, you suddenly cannot think straight. You say things you regret. You freeze when you need to move, and you feel like your brain has completely abandoned you at the worst possible moment. This response was designed for emergencies. It was not designed for your inbox. The people who seem unshakable, the ones who walk into the most intense situations and somehow stay clear and focused and in control, they are not naturally different from you. What they have learned is how to interrupt that automatic physical response before it takes over. And it starts with something so simple it almost sounds too easy. Breathing, but not the way you think. When pressure hits, most people either hold their breath or take fast, shallow breaths. Both of those responses feed the panic. They actually tell your nervous system to escalate. Research consistently shows that extending your exhale longer than your inhale sends a direct signal to your autonomic nervous system to downshift. A 4-second inhale followed by a 6 or 7-second exhale does not just feel calming, it physiologically changes your brain state within 90 seconds. 90 seconds. That is the gap between reacting and responding. And that gap is where everything changes. Now here is something that goes even deeper. Most pressure does not come from the situation itself. It comes from the story your brain is telling about the situation. The brain is a pattern recognition machine that is always trying to predict outcomes. When it perceives a threat, real or imagined, it immediately starts catastrophizing. It jumps from one missed deadline to you losing your job to your entire life falling apart, all in about 4 seconds flat. The skill that the most mentally resilient people in the world have developed is the ability to name what is actually happening without letting the story spiral. Not toxic positivity, not pretending everything is fine, just a clear and honest assessment. What is actually true right now, not what might happen, not the worst-case scenario, what is literally and factually happening right now in this moment. Psychiatrists call this cognitive diffusion. When you can observe your thoughts instead of being swallowed by them, you reclaim control. Studies have shown that people who practice this kind of mental awareness experience measurably lower cortisol levels, better decision-making under pressure, and dramatically improved relationships because they stop reacting from a place of fear and overwhelm. Now imagine what your days would actually look like if this became second nature for you. You walk into a high-stakes meeting, and instead of your mind going blank, you feel a steady clarity. Someone pushes your buttons, and instead of a reaction that you will spend hours regretting, you pause and choose your response. You face a mountain of problems, and instead of shutting down, you work through them one by one with a focus that surprises even you. The people around you start noticing something different about you. They use words like grounded, calm, dependable. And you realize those words are describing who you actually are now, not who you are pretending to be. That transformation is not a fantasy. It is what happens when you stop white-knuckling your way through pressure and start working with your nervous system instead of against it. There is also a physical dimension to this that most people completely overlook. The body keeps score of every stress response that does not get resolved. Over time, that accumulation does not just create mental fatigue, it creates physical symptoms. Chronic tension in the neck and shoulders, digestive problems, a compromised immune system, poor quality sleep that leaves you running on fumes. Doctors are now linking prolonged, unmanaged stress to conditions that people used to attribute entirely to genetics or bad luck. The cost of not dealing with this is not just emotional. It is physical. It is financial when your performance suffers. It is relational when the people closest to you get the worst version of you day after day. And it compounds over time in ways that become harder and harder to reverse. But here is the flip side of that. Every single tool you pick up, every small shift you make in how you respond to pressure, that compounds too. In the opposite direction. The person who learns to regulate under stress sleeps better, thinks clearer, performs better, earns more, connects more deeply, and lives longer according to multiple longitudinal health studies. This is not a soft topic. The return on investing in your mental resilience is measurable, documented, and significant. One small consistent practice beats one dramatic effort every time. And consistency only becomes possible when you have the right structure and the right support around you, which is exactly why the programs linked below in the video description exist. Here is the truth. Most people will watch this video, feel genuinely inspired, and then walk back into the same patterns within 48 hours. Not because they lack willpower. Because insight alone does not create lasting change. Structure does. Support does. The right environment does. The people who are actually shifting their relationship with pressure are not figuring it out alone in their heads. They are using real tools built on real research and a real framework designed to create results that stick. If you're still watching this right now, it is because something in this video landed for you. That is not an accident. That is recognition. That is the part of you that already knows something needs to change. Do not ignore that. The link is in the description. Right now, in this moment, is exactly the time to use it. Because tomorrow you will be back in the middle of it, and the version of you who is equipped will handle it completely differently than the version who is not. The only question is which version you decide to be